We continue today in our journey through Pirkei Avos, and we pick up still in Parak Aleph, Mishna Aleph. In our last shir, we spoke about the incredible opening of Pirkei Avos, the transmission of Torah from Moshe to Yoshua, so on and so forth, to the very Torah that we learn this day. The Mishnah then goes on and says as follows: Heim Amru Shlosha Dvarim. The men of the Great Assembly, the Anshi Knesses Hagidolo, who are responsible for codifying and creating so much of the halachic processes, prayer processes, that we have to this very day. And the Anshe Knesses Hagidolo said three things. Number one, have a masunim bedin. Number one, be deliberate in judgment. Number two, v'ha'amidu talmidim harbe, create or make many students, v'asus yag laTorah, and make a protective fence around Torah. Today I'd like to focus just on the first of the three. Have a masunim bedin, be deliberate in judgment. So the Bartunura explains on this. He says as follows: Shimba din lefanecha pamushtayim v'shalosh, lo tomar din ze kevar ba lefanai vishanisi vishilashti bo elahavim misunim kilomar mamtinin kodem shetefas gradin. So the Bartunura understands that this is actually a reference to the judge. That a judge may, over the course of his career, find cases that come up that resemble previous cases. So a judge may be tempted to say, when a particular case comes before him, you know what, I don't have to hear out the whole case. I remember I once had a case like this, and we paskined like this, we ruled in this way, we heard this idea, and he might not even take the time to hear out all of the details of the case in front of him, thinking that he could rule on this case based on his previous knowledge. To which the Mishnah says, Have misunim bedin, be deliberate. And here, the truth is, the Bartanura says, misunim is really mamtinim. That before you go ahead and you issue a judgment, wait, hear out all the details of the case, and go ahead and then issue your ruling. Other commentaries explain that this statement is not only limited to the official judge, to the official member of the Jewish court of the Beis Din, but rather each of us is a judge in the courtroom of our own lives. People walk into our lives and we judge them. We like to say that we're not judgmental, but in reality, we're very judgmental. We see people and we automatically judge them based on how they look, based on how they dress, based on how they speak, based on the mood that we're in, even independent of what's happening with that individual. We are all judge and juries all of the time for the people who walk into the courtroom of our Dalet Amos, of our personal space. And as such, many commentaries on the Mishnah explain, have a misunim, and this is very interesting. To ask people not to be judgmental might be a little bit of a difficult thing. Although we all know we shouldn't be judgmental, it almost seems to be as if there's an innate reflex to judge others, to make it as if we understand everything. So what do the Anshe Knesset go? What do the men of the Great Assembly say? To tell you not to be judgmental, we can't do. But what we can do is have a misunim bedin. Be deliberate. Be deliberate. You want to judge? It's not ideal. Better not to be judgmental at all. But if you can't escape full judgmentalism, at least be deliberate. At least try to understand what it is that you're seeing. Before you pass judgment on a person, or before you pass judgment on a circumstance, or before you're already willing and ready to react, calm down. Calm down. Misunim, mamtin, wait a little bit before you say something. Wait a little bit before you characterize a person or an event. Wait a little bit before you decide that you have all the information necessary in order to pass judgment. Have a misunim bedin, be deliberate in judgment, is a directive to the judge who sits on the bench and adjudicates the cases of Jewish law. And it's a directive to each of us in the courtrooms of our personal lives. How many times do we rush to judgment? How many times do we assume that because we see a snippet, we see just a freeze frame of someone else's life, of something someone else said. I pick up on the end of a sentence. I hear a part of a thought. I see a little bit of an interaction, and suddenly I've constructed an entire narrative. Suddenly I know anything and everything about everyone. Say the Anshe Knesset Hagidolo, calm down. Have a misunim bedin. Better not to be judgmental at all. But if you can't avoid being judgmental, be deliberate. Take the time to get a full picture before you create your opinions. Take the time to get to comprehensive understanding before you pass judgment. But the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says something amazing. The Baal Shem Tov says that in fact this is referring to a different kind of judgment. And I quote you from the words of the Rebbe. He says, Afilu bo'im aleichem paronios v'dinim kashim. He says the judgment that we're talking about over here is not a judgment against the litigant, the defendant, or a plaintiff. It's not even the type of judgment that we subject one another to. But it's how we interact and how we look at what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does to us. Sometimes God visits circumstances upon us. Sometimes God visits realities upon us. And they're difficult. Paranos dinim kashim. They're difficult to comprehend, difficult to understand, and really difficult to accept. Al tivatu chalila klape shmaya. And sometimes, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu does something to me that I don't like, it's normal to push back. Why? Why? How can you be so heartless, God? How can you be so thoughtless, Chas v'shalom ribono shel olam? Don't you care about me? Don't you love me? Hisnagu b'savlanut u'b'mesinus. The Mishnah teaches us, have patience with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki af b'sol chara ganas hatov. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us more than anything. And sometimes even within the most difficult of circumstances is something beautiful, is something wonderful, is something special. The problem is, if you rush to judge God, if you rush to judge circumstances, you never have the ability to see the good that may be embedded within the adversity. He says, Ki'im ha'inayim ha'besarios lo ra'os. Because sometimes human eyes can't initially see what's good because they're clouded by the challenge, by the adversity, and by the difficulty. So it says the Baal Shem Tov, Havemisunim ben din, be slow and deliberate of your judgment, on your judgment of God. That even that which doesn't look good, even that which looks bad, even that which looks detrimental, even that which is what you want to rage against God and ask why? Why? Maybe be patient for a little bit. Maybe be calm a little bit. The savlanut, the mesinos, wait. Because if you wait long enough and then patient and long enough, you'll see the tov, you'll see the beauty that emerges even from the most difficult of circumstances. So it turns out that the Anshe Knesset Gadol, the men of the Great Assembly, taught us this incredible threefold lesson. Number one, if you're actually a judge, a dayan, even if something looks familiar to you, take the time to hear out the circumstances. If you're not really a judge, but you're just the Supreme Court justice of your own personalistic courtroom, and anyone who comes in automatically gets judged by you, calm down. Be calm. Don't jump to conclusions about people, about circumstances, but take the time to understand life and the realities of life for what it is. And number three, don't rush to judge or condemn God. Sometimes things happen in life that are difficult. Sometimes things happen that are overwhelming. And we ask why, and it's okay to ask why. But right after we have to ask why, we have to take a deep breath and say, you know what? Let me have a little patience. Let me take it down a level. Because maybe if I don't lose it, maybe if I don't rage against God, maybe the patience and the calmness will allow me to see the good